Piston fan. Their slogan was, we come to work. That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governors can come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption, they lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts, and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got, a lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to. Not eligible for Social Security, so the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself blood pressure or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor's allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100, and I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for.
I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough. They adapt. But only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team.
Okay, friends and neighbors, we'll be back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I've got one important question to ask all of you. Have you made your pledge yet to Free Speech TV? And if not, why the hell not? Come on, seriously. You know, we depend on you, we need you, and we count on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV, because you're all we've got. We don't get any corporate money, we don't get any government money, so all of us, depend on Hartman and Amy Goodman, All the rest Stephanie Miller, depend on you to keep us going on Free Speech TV so we can continue the good work that we do, looking over the news every day, what's happening in Washington, what's happening around the country, what's happening around the globe, what are the important issues that we ought to talk about, particularly what are the progressive issues that we ought to be talking about and working on and fighting for, figuring out the best guests that we can get in studio or on the phone that particular day to help us understand these issues. And then, of course, opening up the phones and opening up the social media lines so you can get involved in the conversation and express your comments and your opinion on what it all means to you and to your family. That's what we do every day. We can only do it with your help. So we ask you to dig in once again. Help keep us on the air here at Free Speech TV. If you can just do $10 a month, that's $120 a year. We'll send you a BP mug, a Bill Press Show mug, and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop just downstairs in this building, Peregrine Coffee. For $20 a month, $240, you will get a very, very special gift indeed. One of the great cheeses from Cowgirl Creamery out on the West Coast, right near where we live in California, Point Reyes Station. And for $30 a month or $360 a year, if you can make that pledge, you'll get the mug and the Cowgirl Creamery. And then, as a very, very special item to show you how much we appreciate your support, if you're in a position to pledge $1,000 to Free Speech TV, get yourself to Washington with a friend. Take the plane, take the train, take the bus, drive here, whatever. Carol and I will take you out to dinner the night before, and the next morning we'll invite you to join us in studio to meet the whole team here and to watch a special edition of the Bill Press Show. So with those incentives, hope that you will understand again and be inspired to do the right thing, particularly now at tax time, and take advantage of that this opportunity to get a little write-off on your taxes by helping Free Speech TV. So it's a twofer. You keep progressive television, Free Speech TV on the air, and you get the tax benefit as well. But again, no government money, no corporate money. Here at Free Speech TV, we depend on you. Thanks so much for your help.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
They have found debris in the South Indian Ocean. Could this be the end of the mystery of Malaysia Flight 370? Good morning, everybody. Our eyes on the Indian Ocean, our eyes here on Washington, D.C., our eyes on other developments around the country. We got it all covered here. It is the Bill Press Show. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What do you say? Great to see you this Thursday, March 20, as we gear up Top Scotch around the world for the next 3 hours, bring you up to date on what is happening, and then giving you a chance to talk about it. So good to see you today. And thank you for being part of the program. And, the way to really be part of the program is to sound off by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. That's the old-fashioned way, but it still works. Phone calls still work. Not everything has to be on the internet. Phone calls still work, and look forward to getting your calls. Also look forward to getting your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Here we are, your local morning progressive talk radio show, and also coming out to you on Free Speech TV. If you've got a satellite dish, just pick us up on DirecTV. And if you prefer to, go to your little screen, we're there for you as well on our video stream all around the world at TawkrTV, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. And look who the cat dragged in this morning.
We're here.
Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy. Hello, guys.
Good morning.
Happy Thursday.
Yes. Happy Thursday. Alicia Cruz there, hovering, ready to turn on the phones, take your calls, and Cyprian Bolding here, as always, keeping us looking good on the video cam on Free Speech TV and on TawkrTV. President Obama, yesterday afternoon, hosting a screening of the new documentary about Cesar Chavez, one of our greatest American leaders, a man I feel privileged to have gotten to know quite a bit and quite well when I was working with Jerry Brown, because Governor Brown was, at the time, and still is, a big supporter of the United Farm Workers, a big supporter of Cesar Chavez, and very instrumental in helping the farm workers make the gains, tremendous gains that they've made in California on behalf of migrant workers. Still a great union, the United Farm Workers. President Obama saying yesterday that Cesar Chavez, he was able to bring about change, but it wasn't easy.
Change is hard. It doesn't happen easily. It doesn't happen smoothly or painlessly. It happens because you put your shoulder behind the wheel and you keep on pushing. And then sometimes it's going to roll back a little bit on you, and then you got to dig in and you got to push some more. And Cesar Chavez understood that.
At a reception honoring Cesar Chavez, the president again talked about what a great leader he was.
We are here to celebrate the life of an American hero. Cesar Chavez was a man who devoted this brief time that we have on earth to making sure that this country lived up to some of its lofty ideals.
And in person, a very humble, a very soft-spoken, a very gentle man. Meeting him, you would never believe that he was the tremendously effective labor leader that he was. So today, we're going to be talking with John Nichols from The Nation magazine, one of our best friends of the show, another great friend of the show. Cindy Boren from the Washington Post, sports blogger, is going to be here to fill out her brackets and to tell us exactly what's going to happen here with the March Madness. We'll also have reporters in from Yahoo and Politico. So we've got it covered. And how about this? Rand Paul makes a big splash at the University of Berkeley? Really? But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Last night were the two final games of the first four play-in games. We saw Cal Poly, California Polytechnic State University, that basketball powerhouse, beat Texas Southern in the early game, and in the late game.
But they weren't on my bracket.
Well, there's a play-in game, so like they should be.
I got it. Oh,
right. Like your bracket would have said Cal Poly / Texas Southern.
Really? Well, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
unless we gave you last year's bracket.
I don't know.
The later game was Iowa-Tennessee. Actually had to go to overtime.
Who won Texas? Cal Poly.
Cal Poly.
Cal Poly
won that. They advanced.
Yes.
They advanced, and then Tennessee and Iowa was the later game. That actually went to overtime, where Tennessee took over, scored 14-1 points in overtime, and they easily won that. So action is set. We'll recap our brackets and find out a bit more about it with Cindy Boren in the next hour.
Cal Poly. Do you know where it is?
San Luis Obispo.
Got it. San Luis Obispo. Right in the middle of the state.
Big basketball team out there, huh?
A lot of cows in San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, they put the cow in California. Today, Bill, is the first day of spring. It's technically not spring yet. That happens at 12:57 p.m. today, so you got a few more hours of winter left. And you know it's officially spring because today is the first day of the Cherry Blossom Festival right here in Washington, D.C.
That's why. Yeah, they'll have to get the snow out of the way.
I would suggest you maybe stay home before you come out and take a look at the cherry blossom.
Yeah, they're not there yet.
They are in what they call green mode. They have modes of how they sort of blossom. Right now they're green, meaning there are no cherry blossoms.
Right. And there's supposedly another snowstorm next Tuesday, and I heard yesterday it's like they're talking about 5 to 8 inches again.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Let's move.
Cherry Blossom Festival has been rescheduled for September.
And Amazon is facing a bit of a backlash over their Prime subscription. You have the ability to join Amazon Prime, and that gives you free, not free. I mean, you pay for the year-long service, but if you're a member of the service, you get 2-day shipping.
I did that. I signed up.
It's a great service. You can watch the movies, their TV shows. You can rent books from them and read. Well, they upped it. It used to be $79. It's going up to $99.
Oh.
And some people are not happy about that. Amazon, in a way to sort of
That's a big mistake. That's a mistake.
Some of the criticism. They said that they had to up it because of the content that they're starting to produce. They're putting out more and more TV shows and buying more rights. They had warned their Prime customers that it could go as high as $119 a year, but they settled on $99. So
I think that's a mistake. Yeah, the way to launch this thing is get a lot of people in at that lower price, and not ruin it right away by raising the price. But do you know why they raise it? They have to pay for those drones.
That's right. That's right.
That's what it is.
Product drones.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, what a sight yesterday. I mean, and by the way, front page of the New York Times this morning. If you happen to see it, you will see this is so unusual. Above the fold, right in the middle of the front page, there it is a man giving a speech. So what's the BFD about that? The BFD is that is Rand Paul, conservative Tea Party Republican Rand Paul, giving a speech at the University of Berkeley, California. I got to tell you, that is revolutionary. I know Berkeley very. If you live in the Bay Area, ever. And I did for a long time. We still have a house there. There's a dairy that's located in the Berkeley Hills. That's Berkeley Farms, and they have a very, very funny commercial on the radio. It starts out with a cow moo, and then the guy says, "Cows in Berkeley?" Well, yeah. There is this dairy, and so that this is sort of, you wouldn't expect cows in Berkeley. You wouldn't expect Rand Paul in Berkeley either. I mean, this is the citadel of liberalism in this country. It is the home and the birth of the free speech movement. Mario Savio back in the 60s on the campus. This is a People's Park march. I marched in the People's Park against the People's Park in that big protest. And the protest against the war in Vietnam, all centered on Berkeley. I mean, it's where liberalism, free speech, hippies, right? They still dominate. And Rand Paul was there yesterday, and he had a huge success because Rand Paul, Republican, libertarian, went into Berkeley, and the title of his speech yesterday was "The NSA versus Your Privacy." Right on. And he won those students over with his first sentence. where he said, or right near the top, here's this sort of summed it up. He talked about NSA. He talked about Edward Snowden. He talked about NSA spying on Congress. He talked about NSA collecting all this data from our phone calls and from our emails. He talked about the NSA, as we said yesterday, getting monitoring all the phone calls and collecting information, storing all the phone calls of every single person in an entire country, which they're doing today. He talked about this massive outreach of not just NSA, but the CIA and all of our intelligence agencies. And then again, here's the key sentence. He said, quote, "I believe what you do on your cell phone is none of their damn business." And the students just went, wow, of course it's none of their damn business, but they are monitoring every call on your cell phone and on my cell phone. It is totally out of control. And everybody sees that. I think Americans see that. Members of Congress don't see that. Dianne Feinstein didn't see that until last week, and still there are members of Congress who don't buy into it, but who don't understand, I think, the real threat to our constitutional liberties by our intelligence agencies today. Rand Paul gets it, and he's going to take that message around the country. He told these students yesterday, first of all, that when they found out that Congress, the CIA in this case, was actually spying on Congress, he said he could see the impact of that revelation on the eyes of his fellow senators. Rand Paul.
If the CIA is spying on Congress, who exactly can or will stop them?
Right.
I look into the eyes of senators and I think I see real fear. Maybe it's just my imagination, but I think I perceive fear of an intelligence community that's drunk with power, unrepentant, and uninclined to relinquish power.
An intelligence community that's drunk with power. Boy, that's strong stuff. And I believe he is absolutely right on. And he sees fear in the eyes of a senator. And he says, who's going to watch the watchers, right? Well, Rand Paul says, here's what we ought to do.
No one should be allowed to invade your privacy. That's why I'm announcing today that when I return to Washington, I will push for a select committee, styled after the Church Committee that investigated the abuses of power by the intelligence community in the 70s. It should be bipartisan, it should be independent and wide-reaching. It should have full power to investigate and reform those who spy on us in the name of protecting us. It should watch the watchers.
Watch the watchers. That's what we need. And there's still conservatives and still members of the intelligence community that complain about that Church Committee back in the 1970s. It was absolutely needed at the time because of the abuses of J. Edgar Hoover at the FBI and the CIA. I don't know whether even the NSA was around at that time. But they put in some tough new limits and controls on the intelligence gathering of our intelligence agencies, and we certainly need that again today. I don't know whether Rand Paul's going to get enough votes. I doubt it because of those cowardly members of the Senate. But to push for that, I think, is absolutely the right thing to do. Somebody has to watch the watchers. And now we know, we thought Congress was watching the watchers. Now we find out the watchers are watching Congress and spying on Congress. That's what Dianne Feinstein came up with last night. And by the way, Rand Paul also found a way, of course, to blame this on President Obama. But it is true that President Obama so far has been full square behind the NSA and the CIA and says everything they're not doing anything wrong. They're not violating our privacy. And that's what they're doing is absolutely necessary as part of the war on terror. And it may have been a low blow, but the way Rand Paul said he is shocked that the first African-American president, knowing what J. Edgar Hoover did in terms of spying on Martin Luther King Jr., that the first African-American president would not see that what the CIA is doing today is so wrong and so dangerous. Again, very powerful point, I think, and a strong point. So, you know what? Here's what I find so exciting about them. My question to you is Rand Paul right? I think he is absolutely right on. 866-55-PRESS. But here's what I find so great about this. We talked the other day about Bernie Sanders running for president. I think there's nobody better on the left to articulate the important issues of the left than Bernie Sanders. And there's nobody better on the right to articulate the libertarian strong message than Rand Paul. Wouldn't it be great to see Rand Paul and Bernie Sanders as the two nominees in 2016? And you know what? They could both give the same speech. When it comes to freedom of our right of privacy, right, and free speech, and keeping the intelligence communities under control and reining them in, Bernie Sanders, Rand Paul are right together on that issue. The left and the right. This should bring us together. And what is it brings us together? It's the Constitution and defending our constitutional rights. Is Rand Paul right? Amen, I say. 866-55-PRESS. How about you?
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, we'll be back to the news and your commentary and your comments in just a moment. But first, let me just be very, very straight with you. We need your help. You know what Free Speech TV is all about? We're very, very lucky and very proud to be part of it. But it's the only place that you can find completely independent, unfettered, no restrictions, news and commentary from the left all day long, with no corporate money, no commercials, no government money. But without all of that, we depend on you. And we ask for your help and need your help this time of the year. By the way, it's a good time to make a contribution because you can take it off on your taxes. Don't forget that. We know you love free speech. If you didn't, you wouldn't be watching. But again, we can only stay on the air. The only source of funding we have is your help. So many of you have helped already. We thank you for that. And for those of you who haven't yet, you intend to do so, you just didn't get around to it, do it today. Call that number, 877-378-8669, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org, freespeech.org, and make whatever pledge you can. Now, I hope you do it out of the goodness of your heart, but maybe just as a little extra incentive, we'll offer you a couple of special premiums. If you can pledge just $10 a month, $120 a year, we'll give you a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop, Peregrine, right down on the street level in this building. For $20 a month, $240 a year, very, very special. The best cheese in the world, take it from me, made out in Point Reyes Station, California, from Cowgirl Creamery. They're wonderful, wonderful people. Send you a Cowgirl Creamery a special item. And for $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the mug and the Cowgirl Creamery. Now, here's something very, very special. Those of you who can make a very special pledge of $1,000 to Free Speech TV, you get your way to Washington. I've got a deal for you. Carol and I will take you and a guest out to dinner and then invite you here into the studio the next morning to watch the show with all of us. So whatever pushes your button, please be as generous as you can. And again, do it today at that number, 877-378-8669. Take advantage of that tax opportunity to get your tax contribution. And most importantly, to show your support and show your help for Free Speech TV. We are there with you and for you every single day of the week. We need you to be there for us this one special time of the year. Thanks for your help.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Talking about Rand Paul appearing at the University of California in Berkeley yesterday and creating quite a stir when he took on the NSA and our intelligence agencies and said he's going to try to get enough votes to set up a new select committee on intelligence. Boy, if Harry Reid is smart, he would appoint that committee and get them going. And if the president were smart, he would support it. Rand Paul, by the way, a little funny, he showed up pretty dressed down. New York Times reports he showed up, so he had baggy jeans on. They call them baggy jeans.
They don't call his mom jeans, by the way.
Nor dad jeans.
Right.
Baggy jeans, an Oxford shirt with a red tie, and cowboy boots, and said he was more that compared to the students from the young Republicans who came to welcome him, they were dressed like bankers, and he was dressed like a student.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, but also what's interesting is several big-name Democrats showed up to hear him. Gavin Newsom, Lieutenant Governor of California, former mayor of San Francisco, Robert Reich, former labor secretary, who's a professor at Berkeley, were in the audience. So they wanted to hear kind of what his appeal was to these students. Peter?
A couple of comments. Remember, we're tweeting at BP Show, and you can join in that conversation as well. Just send us a comment there on Twitter. Humanity Critic says, yeah, about Rand Paul, we said he might be right. Humanity Critic said, but he also wouldn't have voted for the Civil Rights Act, so yeah, F that guy. Jessica Ramsaran says, he might be right, but he's still and blank. Talking about MLK, but still thinking that a business can deny a person services. So we made the point on Twitter that,
I'm not saying that Rand Paul is right about everything. He's wrong about most things.
Right.
Actually, he is right when it comes to the right of privacy. He's right when it comes to about the intelligence agencies, and he's right when he talks about the use of drones. On those issues, I think liberals have to say, hey, Rand Paul, we are soul brothers on those issues.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, lots to talk about today, lots going on, and we'll get right back to the news of the day and our Bill Press Show this morning in just a second. But first, I want to take a little time out once again to ask for your help for all of us here at Free Speech TV. I don't have to tell you how much, I've told you before, how much we love being with you first thing in the morning, bring you the news of the day. We love the fact that you're with us, but we wouldn't be here without you, and we really do need your help. That's what makes the difference on Free Speech TV. We don't get any corporate money. We don't get any government funding. We don't get any commercial funding. All of our money, all of our revenue for Free Speech TV comes from you, our viewers. I know you appreciate Free Speech TV, otherwise you wouldn't be watching. You know that you get here totally unfettered, totally independent, just right, straight news of the day with good progressive commentary all day long from me and from Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller and Amy Goodman, all of our good friends at Free Speech TV. Well, we wouldn't be here without you. It's just as simple as that. You've been very generous in the past. We're very excited that so many of you already, this pledge drive, have stepped up to the plate. We thank you for that, and if you haven't already done so, encourage you to make that big call today to 877-378-8669 and make your pledge. Be as generous as you can to Free Speech TV, just to keep this independent, the one single progressive television network on the air, and that is Free Speech TV. And encourage you to do so. Very, very excited to be able to offer you. If you could just give us $10, pledge $10 a month, that's $120 a year. You get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop downstairs here in our building. If you can up that to $20 a month and a pledge of $240, which we thank you, you'll love the cheese from Cowgirl Creamery. It comes from a part of Marin County where we live in California. I think it's the best cheese in the entire world. We'll send you a selection of Cowgirl Creamery. And for $360 or $30 a month, you get the Cowgirl Creamery, Cowgirl cheese selection, and the Bill Press mug. That's $30 a month to $360. And then, very, very special, and some of you have signed up for this already, if you can afford to help free speech with $1,000 and make your way to Washington, D.C., here's what. We will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite restaurants in Washington and invite you to come here the next morning in studio with us to see the show. That'll be a great deal of fun. Hope you'll take advantage of that. Again, the number to make your pledge is 877-378-8669. We depend on you. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So we'll see when Rand Paul gets here next week, gets back to Washington, whether or not he will get any takers on his call to create a select Senate committee, just like the Church Committee from back in the 70s, Senator Frank Church, to take a look at our intelligence agencies across the board and see whether or not, in fact, what they are doing is A, necessary, B, effective, and C, does enough to protect our right of privacy. Today, the way things are today, our right of privacy is wide open if it exists anymore. And again, I agree with Rand Paul, what he told the students at the University of California, Berkeley yesterday. Quote, I believe what you do on your cell phone is none of their damn business. I want to see how Senator Dianne Feinstein responds to Senator Paul's call for a select committee. On the two other big stories of the day, just bringing you up to date. First of all, on Crimea, it's over, folks. It is over. If you didn't believe it was over, then look at what happened yesterday when Ukraine actually pulled its troops out of Crimea. I mean, Russian soldiers at some of these bases, and the Ukraine government said, we're not going to contest it. In effect, they said, we know it's over. And they just told their troops, Ukrainian troops in Crimea, just pack up, get the hell out of there. You and your families come home to Ukraine. You're no longer welcome in Crimea, and we don't want you there any longer. So we can still continue to protest. We can still put out this fantasy that somehow we're going to put enough pressure on Crimea, on Russia, rather, to have them say, oh, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. We'll reverse ourselves. You can have Crimea back. It ain't going to happen. The administration is still trying to put the best face on is what is going on. Vice President Joe Biden yesterday in Lithuania says, no, we're going to continue to tighten those screws down on Russia.
As long as Russia continues on this dark path, they will face increasing political and economic isolation.
Yeah, you think? I don't know. And you know what? The other thing is, no matter how much we protest, right? The problem for us is that the people who are closer to Russia, our allies, Germany and France and the Netherlands and you name it, they're not willing to tighten screws to Russia because they get so much of their energy, natural gas, particularly from Russia. And if they're not willing to do it, then there's nothing we can do. We don't have that many economic ties. The economic dependency on Russia is what I meant to say.
So that's it, huh?
I think it's over. Yeah.
It's amazing how that had the potential to be World War III all over again.
It really didn't, because I don't think anybody was willing to send in troops to Crimea. Crimea has only been part of Ukraine since 1954. I was doing a little research on this last night. And it became part of Ukraine because Khrushchev, who was a Ukrainian by birth, but kind of symbolically said, now you're part of Ukraine. I will, for my homeland, I will give them a gift. I will give them Crimea. But it was all still under the Soviet Union, so it really didn't make that much difference. So, and if you look at the number of people who have had dominion or control over Crimea, go back in history, it's a list as long as your arm. This is not the first time that they have changed hands, shall we say. But the good news is that for all those Americans who, before, let's say, 10 days ago, could never find Crimea on a map, now you don't have to worry about it. Because it doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
Right.
It's just Russia.
The only people I have to worry now are the map makers, right? They're the ones.
Right.
Now, then, on the other big story of the day, there is maybe some news on Malaysia Flight 370. They have spotted some debris in the South Indian Ocean. And yesterday also, President Obama gave his first public remarks on the missing flight in an interview with one of the local TV stations he welcomed to the White House yesterday.
First of all, we want to send out our thoughts and prayers to all the families that have been affected, but particularly our American families who I can only imagine what they're going through, all this uncertainty that's taken place.
And the FBI and the Navy and other American agencies are now cooperating with Malaysia and other countries. A country that seems to have scored here is Australia, because the South Indian Ocean, off the coast of Australia. And the news today again is that they've had satellite images of debris, two different big pieces of debris or two different piles of debris in the South Indian Ocean. One piece as long as 75 feet, they estimate. Very rough seas there. They haven't been able to get anybody close to it as yet. But John Young, we've heard him before with the Australian Naval Search System or whatever, says that this looks like it could be the missing clue.
The indication to me is of objects that are a reasonable size and probably awash with water bobbing up and down out of the surface.
Now, almost every day there's been a new theory or new something, right? So you can't. And there was debris that the Chinese satellite spotted in that other ocean, right on their route, which turned out to be nothing.
And they said that should have never made it out.
Right.
What I find refreshing about this, I think, is that these are real informed people telling us something. It's not like the China satellite image was sort of leaked out by accident, and then we've got the news yelling about, cell phones that kept ringing after the plane supposedly was taken and floating out all these theories. This is real, actual intelligence from informed people who know about the investigation, who are saying, this is what we found, this might be something.
And it's Australia.
And it's Australia. It's not Malaysia.
No, right. Yeah, and so, this just, it particularly compared to the theories we've heard in the last few days, right?
Right.
I mean, the Don Lemon on CNN talking about the possible supernatural UFO thing, right? Yeah, God wanted them home.
Right.
Even yesterday, it was the fisherman who saw... Yeah, he's just cruising along. He sees a low-flying plane coming over.
Right.
Yeah, he thought maybe that was a little unusual. I mean, all this
or
stuff
that this landed somewhere.
Landed on the whatever the islands were.
Andaman Islands.
And the Andaman Islands. And then it was supposedly seen flying over the Maldive Islands or Maldive Islands or whatever. Yeah, all these theories. Or that it landed in Crimea, which was my theory.
Yeah, right, right.
Now maybe we'll know. Now
it'll be nice to have the closure, if for nothing else.
But it's still going to take them time to get people there, right? Or to get planes there low enough that they can photograph the stuff and then identify it as pieces of the missing airliner.
Right. Yeah. I was reading that particular area this time of year is a very, very dangerous area. Very choppy seas. Rescue teams are going to be. They have their work cut out.
And nobody ever goes there. Right,
exactly.
All right, I'll tell you. So that's the news on those two big news fronts. John Nichols is a Washington correspondent for The Nation magazine based in Madison, Wisconsin. He spends a lot of time, of course, here in Washington. He joins us in our next segment. Very, very interesting article John's written recently about Senator Bernie Sanders. We'll talk John Nichols next on The Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. It's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month, we will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery for $360 or $30 a month. You'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those of you able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. 13 minutes now before the top of the hour on a Thursday morning, March 20. No better way to keep track as a liberal, as a progressive, keep track of what's going on and get the real insight on the issues of the day than reading The Nation magazine. And if you pick up this week's copy of The Nation, you will find, as always, good stuff by John Nichols, Washington correspondent for The Nation, including a recent interview with our hero, Senator Bernie Sanders, joining us on our newsline this morning. John Nichols himself. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm great, Bill. It's good to be with you.
So I'm sure you saw that Rand Paul had a huge welcome in Berkeley yesterday, taking on the NSA in front of those students in that citadel of liberalism. John, he may show up in Madison, Wisconsin next, right?
He may.
And get the same reception, wouldn't he?
Well, you know, his dad came in during the 2008 campaign, I believe. I hope I've got this right. No, one of his many campaigns.
Yeah, right.
And he had a very large response. A huge crowd came out on the campus. So the Paul family has a history of, making that connection. But the interesting thing about what he's doing, and this is a big deal, it's not to be underestimated, Rand Paul is doing what most Republicans fail to do, and that is to go out to the broad American audience, way beyond the safe, usual Republican spots.
Yep.
And try and talk about some issues that connect.
Yep.
I may disagree with him on many issues, but I give him credit.
Yeah.
Where you will not see the others doing that.
Right. And if he would stick to drones and the NSA and the CIA, we'd have a lot in common. We do have a lot in common.
Well, you and he would actually, but let's go a step deeper and say that what he is trying to do is make a connection with the genuine libertarian, or at least free speech, privacy sentiment that exists within both parties.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, I know that some of the things that Rand Paul is saying about the intelligence community mirror or echo things that our friend Senator Bernie Sanders has said about the intelligence community. Left and right coming together on that issue.
Well, and indeed, if you recall, over in the House of Representatives, when a serious effort was made to rein in some of the NSA spying, who were the two people working together? Justin Amash from Michigan, perhaps the most libertarian Republican member of the House, and John Conyers.
Yep.
Great liberal, progressive veteran representative from Michigan.
Now, you have talked to Senator Bernie Sanders recently about something that what he might be thinking of in 2016. What did Senator Sanders tell you, and what do you believe? Is he going to run in 2016, and should he?
Great question. We have a big interview in The Nation with him. It's very, very detailed. And I want to comfort you a little, Bill, because I know your deep concern about jumping too far into the 2016
That's true.
race.
Right.
And Bernie Sanders says much the same stuff you do. He says, look, we still have to worry about 2014 before we go too far down the line. But acknowledging the reality that we have these incredibly fast-starting and complex presidential campaigns now, he says in the interview, and this is a direct quote, I am prepared to run for president of the United States in 2016. That does not mean that he will run. It does mean that he is thinking very seriously about it. There's no doubt of that. That he wants to consult with progressives, that really go out to America, talk to people about the issues and the prospects for a candidacy. And what he is saying, and I think I'm very intrigued by the way he's discussing this. He's saying that you really need to have something revolutionary in American politics. That for a progressive to make a serious run for president, it must be about transforming not just a particular position on an issue or even a platform, putting out a platform. It must be about transforming politics itself with a huge outreach to working class people and a whole new set of issues. And so it's a very interesting conversation. I give him credit for thinking as deeply as he has about it. And I would suggest to you that as regard to your last part of the question, should he run for president, I hold to the view that it's by and large good for people to run for president, i.e. that if you're thinking about it, you're interested in it, make the run. Doesn't mean you will necessarily win. That's always up for grabs, of course. But it is. I don't like the notion that 2-3 years out we decide who is viable and then we kind of knock everybody out of the race. Who doesn't fit some kind of insider calculus.
Right. So you and I, we next time you're back in the studio, we'll spend more time talking about Senator Bernie Sanders because I'm so interested and intrigued by what he's doing, as are you. And you can read that, folks, again in The Nation, this week's Nation, John Nichols' interview with Senator Sanders. I've got to ask you quickly about what happened, just about a minute left, what happened in Illinois, another oligarch plutocrat trying to buy a seat here, huh?
This is a huge deal. This Illinois race is fascinating. For governor, you've got a guy named Bruce Rauner who acknowledges he is not part of the 1%. He's part of the 0.1%. So 99.9% of us are poorer than he is. He was nominated for governor. Very anti-union. Says that Scott Walker is his hero. And then in the Senate race against Dick Durbin, a guy named Oberweis, who's a millionaire as well, bought the nomination after spending most of the week before the election in Florida. And so you really do have a situation where the Republican ticket in Illinois is led by people who can't be described as anything but plutocrats.
Whoa, that is really, gosh, and it's part of the continuing trend, of course, we see on the right-hand side, led by the infamous Koch brothers, our friends, the Koch brothers, right? Yeah.
But at least the Koch brothers just give their money. These guys are actually buying the nomination.
Exactly. All right. Hey, John, thanks for getting up early for us this morning. So good to talk to you, as always, thenation.com.
A pleasure, Bill.
John Nichols. All right. See you again soon in Washington. Thanks, my friend.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, lots to talk about today, lots going on, and we'll get right back to the news of the day and our Bill Press show this morning in just a second. But first, I want to take a little time out once again to ask for your help for all of us here at Free Speech TV. I don't have to tell you how much, I've told you before, how much we love being with you first thing in the morning, bring you the news of the day. We love the fact that you're with us, but we wouldn't be here without you, and we really do need your help. That's what makes the difference on Free Speech TV. We don't get any corporate money. We don't get any government funding. All of our, we don't get any commercial funding. All of our money, all of our revenue for Free Speech TV comes from you, our viewers. I know you appreciate Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You know that you get here totally unfettered, totally independent, just right, straight news of the day with good progressive commentary all day long from me and from Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller and Amy Goodman, all of our good friends at Free Speech TV. Well, we wouldn't be here without you. It's just as simple as that. You've been very generous in the past. We're very excited that so many of you already this pledge drive have stepped up to the plate. We thank you for that, and if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to make that big call today to 877-378-8669 and make your pledge. Be as generous as you can to Free Speech TV, just to keep this independent, the one single progressive television network on the air, and that is Free Speech TV. And encourage you to do so. Very, very excited to be able to offer you. If you could just give us $10 pledge $10 a month, that's $120 a year. You get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop downstairs here in our building. If you can up that to $20 a month and a pledge of $240, which we thank you, you'll love the cheese from Cowgirl Creamery. It comes from a part of Marin County where we live in California. I think it's the best cheese in the entire world. We'll send you a selection of Cowgirl Creamery. And for $360 or $30 a month, you get the Cowgirl Creamery, Cowgirl cheese selection, and the Bill Press mug. That's $30 a month or $360. And then, very, very special, and some of you have signed up for this already, if you can afford to help Free Speech with $1,000 and make your way to Washington, D.C., here's what. We will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite restaurants in Washington and invite you to come here the next morning in studio with us to see the show. That'll be a great deal of fun. Hope you'll take advantage of that. Again, the number to make your pledge is 877-378-8669. We depend on you. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you. Cindy Boren from the Washington Post helping us fill out our brackets at the top of the next hour. Peter.
Earlier this week, we celebrated St. Patrick's Day, and we talked about how Guinness was pulling out of some parades because of the LGBT rights. Guinness stands for rights for LGBT people. Well, Rupert Murdoch is not okay with that. He tweeted, "Where will this end? Guinness pulls out of religious parade bullied by gay organizations who try to take it over. Hope all Irish boycott the stuff." So to that we say,
oh yeah, right.
Go drink more Guinness.
Yeah, the Irish are going to boycott Guinness.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Rupert Murdoch just shows how wrong he is about yet one more issue, right? Rupert Murdoch. Okay, when we get back again, Cindy Bourne at the top of the next hour, and then Kate Tummarello from The Hill. Stay with us here, a Thursday edition of The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Okay, friends and neighbors, we'll be back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I've got one important question to ask all of you. Have you made your pledge yet to Free Speech TV? And if not, why the hell not? Come on, seriously. You know, we depend on you, we need you, and we count on you to keep us going here at Free Speech TV because you're all we've got. We don't get any corporate money, we don't get any government money, so all of us, you know, depend, Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, all the rest depend, Stephanie Miller, depend on you to keep us going on Free Speech TV so we can continue the good work that we do, looking over the news every day, what's happening in Washington, what's happening around the country, what's happening around the globe, what are the important issues that we ought to talk about, particularly what are the progressive issues that we ought to be talking about and working on and fighting for. Figuring out the best guests that we can get in studio or on the phone that particular day to help us understand these issues. And then, of course, opening up the phones and opening up the social media lines so you can get involved in the conversation and express your comments and your opinion on what it all means to you and to your family. That's what we do every day. We can only do it with your help. So we ask you to dig in once again. help keep us on the air here at Free Speech TV. If you can just do $10 a month, that's $120 a year. We'll send you a BP mug, a Bill Press Show mug, and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop just downstairs in this building, Peregrine Coffee. For $20 a month, $240, you will get a very, very special gift indeed. One of the great cheeses from Cowgirl Creamery out on the West Coast, right near where we live in California, Point Reyes Station. And for $30 a month or $360 a year, if you can make that pledge, you'll get the mug and the Cowgirl Creamery. And then, as a very, very special item to show you how much we appreciate your support, if you're in a position to pledge $1,000 to Free Speech TV, get yourself to Washington with a friend. Take the plane, take the train, take the bus, drive here, whatever. Carol and I will take you out to dinner the night before, and the next morning we'll invite you to join us in studio to meet the whole team here and to watch a special edition of the Bill Press Show. So with those incentives, hope that you will understand again and be inspired to do the right thing, particularly now at tax time, and take advantage of that this opportunity to get a little write-off on your taxes by helping Free Speech TV. So it's a twofer. You keep progressive television, Free Speech TV on the air, and you get the tax benefit as well. But again, no government money, no corporate money. Here at Free Speech TV, we depend on you. Thanks so much for your help.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
What may be the most promising clues yet to whatever happened to Malaysian Flight 370? Debris spotted this morning early in the South Indian Ocean, and it appears that it is debris from the missing plane. Maybe we will find out what happened to it. Good morning, everybody. Here we go on Thursday, March 20. So good to see you today on the Bill Press Show, coming to you live all the way across this great land of ours. We are there on your local progressive talk radio station. Good morning. We are there on Free Speech TV. Good morning. And we are there on our video stream. Good morning again on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. And so glad to welcome into the studio, as everybody in the land is fixated on their brackets, following the lead of the President of the United States, Cindy Boren, sports blogger for the Washington Post, here in studio with us. Hello, Cindy.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Same here.
Thanks for coming in, and you're going to walk us all the way through this, right? You got it all.
I'm going to explain why Peter's bracket is just complete rubbish and should be burned over.
There's a big story about Peter's bracket, which we will
Oh,
will
boy.
tell you.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. And Cindy joins our team, Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy.
Hey.
Good morning. Happy Thursday.
Here's Alicia Cruz. She is standing by with her to take your calls, and Cyprian Balding on the video cam. We have all filled out our brackets, Cindy, I want you to know.
You filled one out?
Damn right. I have been the winner in this.
I was just going to say, you're the kind of guy, the guy who doesn't follow sports is always the guy who wins. The guy who looks at the bracket and says, oh, I like their mascot, or I don't like them. And
You know why he picked Louisville last year? Because he liked saying Louisville.
I understand that, actually.
I really like saying Louisville.
That's
so
great
I got
logic.
them going all the way.
I actually support that completely.
That's it.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why doesn't that work for me with the lottery or for the Mega Millions? You know what I mean?
How much did you win on the bracket last year? Was this some money?
We never put money on it. No.
What?
I know. Maybe this is maybe
a
we'll
dollar. I mean,
maybe,
$1?
Maybe we should. Not even.
We play for respect. Here, okay.
Oh boy.
All right. Yeah. All right. Before we get into that heavy sports stuff, but back to politics for just a moment. I had to say we talked in the last hour about Senator Rand Paul appearing. Yes, you heard it right, at the University of Berkeley, California, yesterday, and he not only had to say had some important things to say about the NSA and the CIA and our intelligence agencies. He had a wonderful comment, I thought, on the state of the Republican Party today, comparing it to Domino's Pizza.
Remember Domino's finally admitted they had bad crust? Think Republican Party admit it, okay? Bad crust, we need a different kind of party.
You know, when you go on a college campus and you talk about pizza, you're at a level that they can understand.
Exactly.
And you compare it to bad pizza, that rings true. Yep.
Smart.
Absolutely.
Know your demo.
And that's right. Know where he is and know exactly what his message is.
That's right.
All right, so Cindy Boren starts us off. Then we'll be joined a little bit later by Chris Moody from Yahoo News as a friend of Bill, and reporters from Politico all over the place. We bring it to you here and take your calls again at 866-55-PRESS. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
The big stories of the day.
Yeah, all the big stories making news today. Just a couple of other things you need to know about. Remember a couple of months ago we talked about the 2 Utah Boy Scout leaders who went into Goblin Valley State Park and they knocked over some rock formations that were 170 million years old.
Boy Scout leaders?
Boy Scout leaders. It was obviously that's against the law. You can't go into a state park and do that. So they found out their sentences earlier this week. The 2 men, Glenn Taylor and David Hall, appeared in Utah's 7th District Court, and they were given 1 year of probation, and they were ordered to pay fines and restitution, a number that has not been determined yet. But the Salt Lake City Tribune has been all over the story. We'll find out what they have to pay.
Seems to me that's a slap on the wrist.
It seems like a slap on the wrist. No jail time.
Historical treasures like that?
Yeah. So don't go do it or else you might get probation. Say hello to the chicken from hell. The Anzu is the latest dinosaur species to have been discovered yesterday. It is supposed to be as tall as a human, roamed North America.
Wait, what are you talking about? I want to hold this up so Cyprian maybe can get a picture. Front page, Washington Post. Chicken from hell.
The chicken from hell. If I guess the easiest way to describe it, if you can't see it, it's sort of like a velociraptor with chicken wings instead of arms. I mean,
there would actually be some meaty wings.
Right.
Sometimes the wings are like, you eat wings and there's nothing there.
Skinny little buffalo wings.
100 of them.
Those are real wings.
Those are wings.
Those are real wings. The chicken from hell roamed North America about 66 million years ago. Like I said, as tall as a human, could weigh as much as 500 pounds.
Imagine discovering
meaty wings.
Yeah, discovering a new dinosaur. Wild. Yeah, that's going to redo all the museums, dinosaur museum.
And, football is a big deal. High school football is a big deal in Texas. So big, in fact, that they built a new stadium that could hold 18,000 people. It cost $60 million to build. They did that 2 years ago. And it turns out they're going to have to demolish the whole thing and start from scratch due to structural flaws in the stadium. When they built it, they screwed up. They wasted that $60 million.
God.
They're going to have to rebuild it all together. They had built, again, like I said, this huge facility that were going to house football games in Allen, Texas, graduations, things like that. And because it's not safe for people to attend games there, they have to blow it up.
Where were the inspectors along the way?
Right?
Don't you just check?
I got a feeling.
Cindy, this is Texas.
Texas, football.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
whoa.
Well, that's my point. They take football seriously.
Yeah,
You'd think it would be like building a church or a shrine.
Right?
True.
It was like building a shrine. All right, here we go. 13 minutes after the hour. What are we going to do about these brackets now? So we have all of ours in the system, right?
Yes, we have it online to monitor.
Oh, to mock. Yeah.
To mock and to monitor, yes, indeed.
Right. Fantastic. I'll be doing that later today.
Okay. And Jen Bendery was in from Huffington Post yesterday, Cindy, and she told us that Huffington Post has put out a Predictathon or Predictatron. Predictatron. That you can go on there and get some information. So
you can cheat, yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Well, I mean, it's you can do the research yourself, or you can go on there and just punch some keys, which is fabulous because really this isn't worth sweating all week over.
Exactly.
All right. Have you filled yours out?
I don't anymore.
You don't?
I know it's a sacrilege to even say that, isn't it? But I
would think it would be required for the job.
No. In fact, it kind of distracts me. And people don't want to know about this, but I find it distracting when I'm so involved in my stuff and my teams and my bracket and am I done, am I toast, that I want to be following what's happening rather than
I'm with you.
I don't play fantasy sports either.
Okay.
I came to that conclusion this year that I didn't want to do a bracket.
All right. So Peter did not do a bracket this year. So he had to submit something. So Peter
I'm testing a theory here.
Conned his 6-year-old son.
Oh, I like that.
Filling out
so this is his bracket. This is Magnus's bracket.
Oh, Oh, okay. So I won't mock it then.
Now,
you can mock away.
Okay.
No. Now, Peter, Daddy has to interrogate Magnus, 6-year-old Magnus, to find out how he came to the conclusions that he did. Here's what this sounded like around the kitchen table yesterday.
Your final four is Florida, Virginia, Michigan, and Arizona. That's actually pretty good. How did you get to that?
I really don't know.
Okay. Did you pick any of the teams based on how close they are to you or how mommy liked them or whatever?
Only one.
Which one?
South Carolina, maybe?
South Carolina's not even in it.
South Carolina. He says he thinks he picked South Carolina. It's not even on.
This kid's winning. This kid's totally
You know
winning.
why? So he picked Florida to win it all. You know why he picked Florida to win it all? Because that's where Disney World is.
That's
Again, I repeat. You've got people who do all the RPI and all the calculating. Yeah.
I could have picked Florida. I had Florida going pretty far.
Who do you have winning?
Louisville.
Oh, because you like to say Louisville. So you have them repeating. Okay.
No,
that's...
I did it last year, but I did it again this year because I still like saying it.
You still like saying it?
Yeah, right.
Are they ever going to lose? You're gonna have that as winning.
That's right.
Have them winning
but
your bracket
they're pretty good, though, aren't they?
They really are. Actually, I'm going to say this. If I were to pick, I would say I like Louisville to win.
Do you?
I do, yes. Everyone's picking Michigan State. That's the trendy, popular pick. As you know, the president chose Michigan State, and you also know he's never right.
I know.
And he chose Michigan State to beat Louisville.
He did.
Everyone is picking Michigan State. I like Michigan State. They're very good. I don't see them. I don't see it happening. I think your son is actually very smart about Virginia. I think people are completely overlooking Virginia. They're a good defensive team.
Virginia is close, which is why he picked Virginia.
Oh, well, okay. They're a good defensive team. And does he know Tony Bennett, the coach? Okay, yeah, okay.
No.
Never mind. He doesn't get that whole...
No, doesn't understand any of it.
Okay, that's good.
I think, you said this, so I guess I'm repeating, but it seems to me the more you know, the less well you do. Right? I mean, these people that get down to, well, they know the coaches, they know the players, they know the history and everything. Too much information, right?
One year,
TMI?
One year I won, and I was forced into submitting a bracket. This was a few years back. I was forced into submitting a bracket, and I hadn't done it, and it was, tip time was, this 4 minutes away or something, and it's like, oh, I've just got to fill this out. So I just blindly filled it out, and I looked at it, and I thought, oh my God, I don't even remember who won that year. I'm like, I can't believe I have Team X, this is an idiotic bracket. Here's my $5, go away. And I won.
And you win.
Yeah. So, it makes no sense.
All right,
whatsoever.
so let's be up front here, right? So Magnus has Florida.
Florida winning it all.
Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
Florida winning it all.
I have Louisville.
Both
Elisa?
good choices.
I have Michigan.
Michigan or Michigan State?
Number 2.
Get out.
Okie dokie.
We have a contender now for Magnus's bracket.
What do you mean number 2?
Number 2, Michigan. I have
Michigan.
She has actual Michigan.
Yeah, actually Michigan.
Not
Okay.
Michigan
seat.
State.
Michigan is not a
That's
number
fine.
2 seat.
I just wanted to clarify.
And so the final game would be Syracuse and Michigan.
Oh, Syracuse.
And Virginia was
I
in the
don't see
top
that
4.
happening.
No. Syracuse is sort of falling apart, man.
Although I always enjoy Syracuse just because you never know what Jim Boeheim's going to do.
Gonna rip his coat off and run around like a maniac.
That's great. But
Yeah.
I don't think they get
Well, I
that
guess,
far.
okay, so you have the final, you have Michigan?
Michigan, yes.
And Syracuse?
Syracuse and Michigan.
Yeah, I have Michigan State, right, and Louisville in the finals. And Magnus has Florida and...
Arizona.
I don't
remember why he picked
There's
Arizona.
no respect whatsoever around here for Wichita State, huh? They
Nah,
haven't lost
doesn't
a
look like
game,
it.
and there's no respect whatsoever.
I guess
I mean,
not.
they're in the region of doom because they have to play Louisville.
Oh, they do?
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
But and Duke is in that region, and Michigan.
Duke doesn't have it this year,
Michigan.
though.
Duke doesn't have it this year?
Duke doesn't have it this year, right?
I don't think they do, but you know how Duke.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
You know how
But
these
who's
things go.
Mercer?
South Carolina?
I never heard of them, so I couldn't pick
Isn't
it.
it
All right,
It might be.
all right. Wait. I want to. So, did Alicia do a bracket?
Yeah,
She
what
did.
was your final?
Villanova.
Villanova.
Oh,
Wait, winning it all?
Yes.
And who were your final 2? I mean, Villanova and
San Diego.
Cindy. Oh
okey-dokey.
boy, she's way out there.
Wait, have you seen the St. Joseph's coach and his little grandson?
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
there's always a team like a Cinderella team or just a team that becomes
Yeah.
a darling. Like last year was Florida Gulf Coast.
Right.
Dunk
And,
City.
yeah.
They're not in it this year.
No, and their coach took his hot wife and left for California.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, this year the coach of St. Joseph's, who is it's a legendary program. The coach is well known.
Yeah,
He is probably 60s, maybe in his 60s. Phil Martinelli. And bald, and he's standing there coaching, and he's very animated. Well, his little grandson, who's 4 years old, is sitting about 4 rows behind the bench, and he's emulating everything he does.
Oh,
he has
funny.
a little dry erase board, and he writes up plays. He
God.
does this.
Oh,
he does.
really?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
it's hilarious. So I'm going to be
Aw.
interesting to see. It will be interesting to see if they tell the grandkid to put the kibosh on that, or if it's.
They better not.
All
I
right.
mean, come on.
Well, I don't know where the grandkid's going to be sitting. He might be in the
They
nosebleeds.
might have bad seats.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, how about Cyprian? We haven't heard from Cyprian yet. So, what do we have here?
Cyprian, what do you have?
I have Final Four: Florida, Arizona, Michigan State, and Duke. Michigan State, Arizona at the finals, Michigan State the winner.
Michigan State.
You're one of the
State.
See, I told you there were Michigan State.
Michigan State and Arizona, with Michigan State winning, huh? Whoa. Okay. So we've got, look at that, the five of Florida, Louisville, Michigan, not Michigan State, Michigan, Villanova, and Michigan State. Cindy?
I'm going with Louisville. I still
You
say,
are.
I've liked them for about the last one. I think they've been playing better. They've won, they went on a streak. I think they won like 6 out of 7 games or something.
Mm-hmm.
They're hot at the right time.
All right,
how did they get such a messed up seed, by the way?
That's a good question. The seeding process has been really interesting. There are a lot of people that were kind of shocked that the Wichita State ended up in this bracket. The whole thing is kind of weird.
Screwy this
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's.
All right, so if you got the big, you there at home or in the car, whatever, you got the big office bracket to fill out today with a lot of money on the line here. This is your time to get some expert advice. We'll tell you, right? We can send you in one of 5 or 6 different directions. Give us a call. You got a question or a comment, or let us know who you think's going to come out on top at 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back with Cindy Boren.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I got a couple of questions for you. First one, are you enjoying Free Speech TV? Well, I know the answer to that one. If you weren't, you wouldn't keep watching. We appreciate that. Good to have you with us. And the second question is, since you enjoy Free Speech TV so much, have you done your share to keep us on the air? Have you made your pledge? If so, we thank you because so many of you have. But if not, let's get on it. Do it today. It is so important. Look, again, I don't have to tell you how special Free Speech TV is. I'm very, very proud to be part of it. Less than a year right now. But it's the only place you can find such great hosts, Tom Hartman, Stephanie Miller, Amy Goodman. I hope I'm one of them. And it's all content-free, no commercials, the only truly independent and progressive cable channel that is out there. You won't find it anywhere else. But the thing is, we depend on you. That's the only way we can stay on the air. We get no corporate money, no government money, no sponsor money, right? It is all from our viewers that keep us going. So we ask you to give us a call today, 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org and make your pledge. And as a little reward for making your pledge, if you can do us this $10 a month, $120, we'll send you a Bill Press Show mug. You can have your coffee with us every day, and a pound of coffee from Washington's favorite little coffee shop, which is right downstairs in our building. It's called Peregrine Coffee. If you can afford $20 a month, $240 pledge, you will get a very, very special treat from one of my favorite little businesses out in West Marin, California, West Marin County, from Cowgirl Creamery, a selection of their best cheeses. I think they're the best cheeses on the planet, and I've lived in Switzerland, so I know. Cowgirl Creamery for $240. For $360 or $30 a month, we'll send you the Cowgirl Creamery and a mug. And here's something very, very special. If you can do it and you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, then make your way to Washington as a little special treat. I'll take you out to dinner with Carol, and we'll invite you and a guest in to watch the show the next morning here in our studio in downtown Washington, D.C. So those are just our ways of saying thank you ahead of time to you. Please do it. Please consider it today. And again, the number to call is 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org. We love bringing the show to you every morning, love being with you every day, and ask you to be with us by making your pledge as soon as you can and as generously as you can. Thank you so much.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 27 minutes already after the hour here. And the first game, Cindy Boren with us from the Washington Post, WashingtonPost.com. The first games are today.
Yes.
Whoa. Good thing I got my bracket finished.
You could be setting your bracket on fire by maybe 3 o'clock.
Whoa.
Or not.
And you said that this is
It's like the least productive day of the year in the work year. For the American workforce, it's got to be
I'm
going
to put that theory to the test here later on this week. You just wait and see.
Really?
Right.
Today and tomorrow, nobody gets anything. Oh, come on. Nobody gets anything done.
I'm going to walk out of here at probably 11:30, and I'm going to go find a bar. And since it's Washington, D.C., I'm going to sit down, and they'll have all their TVs on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. They won't have the games on, and then I'll have to ask to have them put it on.
Right.
Yeah, but...
All right.
People are watching.
All right, I want to ask real quickly. I just got back in Las Vegas last week, and I had a chance to interview Billy Beane from the Oakland A's.
Oh, yeah, the Moneyball guy.
Yeah, what a great guy. And
what did he tell you? Did you learn anything?
Oh, I had some secrets. But this has really revolutionized Major League Baseball, hasn't it?
Yeah, and sports in general. I think everybody, everybody's trying to be more prudent now, even in the NFL where, they're printing money.
Yeah, but I mean, just like looking at the statistics, and he said everybody had the same information, right? Everybody had the same stats. It was all out there. The difference is he used it. The A's
he had
used it.
to.
And they had to because they didn't have the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's such a great story.
He's a really fascinating guy to listen to.
Great guy, by the way, and still general manager of the A's. So, Cindy Boren, so good to see you. We always run out of time.
Thanks,
but good luck with your non-bracket.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Good luck with yours.
Hey, friends, we'll be back to the news and your commentary and your comments in just a moment. But first, let me just be very, very straight with you. We need your help. You know what Free Speech TV is all about? We're very, very lucky and very proud to be part of it. But it's the only place that you can find completely independent, unfettered, no restrictions, news and commentary from the left all day long, with no corporate money, no commercials, no government money. But without all of that, we depend on you. And we ask for your help and need your help this time of the year. By the way, it's a good time to make a contribution because you can take it off on your taxes. Don't forget that. We know you love free speech. If you didn't, you wouldn't be watching. But again, we can only stay on the air. The only source of funding we have is your help. So many of you have helped already. We thank you for that. And for those of you who haven't yet, you intend to do so, you just didn't get around to it, do it today. Call that number, 877-378-8669, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org, freespeech.org, and make whatever pledge you can. Now, I hope you do it out of the goodness of your heart, but maybe just as a little extra incentive, we'll offer you a couple of special premiums. If you can pledge just $10 a month, $120 a year, we'll give you a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop, Peregrine, right down on the street level in this building. For $20 a month, $240 a year, very, very special. The best cheese in the world, take it from me, made out in Point Reyes Station, California, from Cowgirl Creamery. They're wonderful, wonderful people. send you a Cowgirl Creamery a special item. And for $3.60 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the mug and the Cowgirl Creamery. Now, here's something very, very special. Those of you who can make a very special pledge of $1,000 to Free Speech TV, you get your way to Washington. I've got a deal for you. Carol and I will take you and a guest out to dinner and then invite you here into the studio the next morning to watch the show with all of us. So whatever pushes your button, please be as generous as you can. And again, do it today at that number, 877-378-8669. Take advantage of that tax opportunity to get your tax contribution. And most importantly, to show your support and show your help for Free Speech TV. We are there with you and for you every single day of the week. We need you to be there for us this one special time of the year. Thanks for your help.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, Thursday morning, March 20, 33 minutes after the hour. The Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital, our studio in Capitol Hill, brought to you today by the American Federation of Teachers. Our great men and women teachers of America under President Randy Weingarten, making a difference in the classrooms every day, you bet. And find out more about their good work at their website, aft.org. Senator Rand Paul showing up in an unusual location yesterday, the University of California, Berkeley, citadel of liberalism, and maybe after yesterday, the citadel of libertarianism, because Senator Paul talking about there in Berkeley, the title of his speech was The NSA versus Your Privacy. And he got a great reception on the campus yesterday. A lot of people concerned about what's happening with our intelligence agencies, the NSA and the CIA and others. Kate Tummarello is a tech reporter for The Hill who covers these issues and joins us in our studio this morning. Hi, Kate. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So Senator Paul struck a responsive chord yesterday in Berkeley. The number one thing he told the students was, I don't believe that what you say on your cell phone is any of their damn business.
Yeah, that definitely got a response.
Hard to disagree with that, right?
Yeah, I think he is definitely speaking to a sympathetic base there. Millennials and people in that age group are not looking to the government to have them spy on their cell phones, whether that's geolocation information about where they're going or what they're saying or who they're calling or what they're Snapchatting. This is not something that people even knew was happening until recently.
But it seems that every week there's more that comes out about what one of the intelligence agencies, particularly the NSA or the CIA, are up to. The latest is that the NSA is now collecting every phone call made by every citizen in one particular country and storing that information up to 30 days, and then it gets replenished as, at the end of 30 days, they recycle more calls in. Why? And do we have any idea what country this is? And, is this, where do they get the authority to do this?
Well, they would say that this is a foreign targeted program. So this is not targeting American citizens. These are not people who have Fourth Amendment protections. This is about foreign people based abroad because it is in this specific country. I personally don't know which country it is. I would love to find out. But I know the Washington Post, which broke this story, has been very careful not to name the country out of concerns about sacrificing intelligence information and national security concerns. I mean, there's a question of what if there are American citizens visiting that country at that time using their cell phones? Are they going to be swept up in this big program?
Of course they are.
So, I mean, that raises concerns, and intelligence agencies go very far out of their way to say that they try to control for that, and they try to make sure they don't include Americans in these sweeping programs. But when you're collecting 100% of a country's calls for 30 days at a time, I don't know how you kind of...
And they're not only collecting them, they admit that they are listening in on some of them. They are, and now just a small percentage, because after all, there are billions of calls that they have to go through, but they are actually listening on these calls. So, I mean, doesn't this contradict everything that President Obama said, that we are not spying on average citizens?
I mean, it definitely, I bet he would say that it doesn't, but it raises the question of how necessary this vast collection is, right? So the intelligence agencies like to make the point that it's easiest to connect the dots when you have all the dots. It's easy to find out which patterns are important and what you need to look for. And if you only collect things here and there, you won't get the big picture. And I doubt they have the time to listen into the calls about, what a husband and wife are discussing they need to pick up from a grocery store. But it raises the concern that there is this vast database of calls from people who are not suspecting that the NSA is snooping in on them.
Right. You said that the Washington Post did not reveal the name of the country because for intelligence reasons. I think another reason is, I don't care what country it is, if it's Spain or Germany or France or whatever. If this became known, there would be hell to pay in terms of public relations, certainly, and protest from the leadership of the country and from the citizens of that country. Right?
I mean, can you imagine if we found out tomorrow that China listens to all of our phone calls for 30 days at a time?
Yeah. No, good point. So this is one of the things that Senator Paul, again coming back to Berkeley, talked about yesterday with these students. You've got the phone data collection program here in this country, listening in on the cell phones of foreign leaders. It's on and on. This latest thing, every phone call of every country, every phone call of every citizen in one particular country. So Senator Paul said he thinks we need to have a special committee to look into this. Here is what he told the students yesterday that he plans when he comes back to Washington.
No one should be allowed to invade your privacy. That's why I'm announcing today that when I return to Washington, I will push for a select committee, styled after the church committee that investigated the abuses of power by the intelligence community in the 70s. It should be bipartisan. It should be independent and wide-reaching. It should have full power to investigate and reform those who spy on us in the name of protecting us. It should watch the watchers.
A committee to watch the watchers. Okay. So the church committee was really triggered by revelations that J. Edgar Hoover was spying, the CIA, FBI at the time, spying on Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights leaders. Is there enough information today to trigger a new church committee?
Well, people would definitely like to see that. Earlier this week, a group of former church committee staffers pushed for that in an open letter to Congress and to President Obama, and they even
cited... Church committee staffers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they even cited their report, which said at the time, we're concerned about the technological capabilities of the NSA because they can just collect and store so much information. So they were very... almost psychic, it seems, at the time, in the 1970s. The interesting thing is the church committee kind of led to the Senate Select Intelligence Committee. And it's not clear what Senator Paul is thinking in terms of how this new committee would be different. And in the 1970s, there were fewer oversight mechanisms for the intelligence community, and you can argue to death about whether or not those oversight mechanisms are effective, but they definitely exist on paper. And there are inspector generals at all the agencies and in the DOJ, and there's the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board, which it was created after 9/11 to monitor these programs. and there's a court they have to answer to. So it's not clear what this committee that he is suggesting would add to that landscape of oversight, but it's definitely an interesting idea and one that a lot of people have called for in the past.
Well, I think the difference is that hopefully this select committee that Senator Paul is talking about would take a critical look at the NSA and the CIA rather than be a rubber stamp for their activities, which the House Intelligence and the Senate Intelligence Committees have been nothing but.
Yeah, definitely. There's a sense of cheerleading among those committees. But if you look at the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board, they're the ones that earlier this year called on Obama to abolish the 215 program, the phone metadata program that collects information in theory about all American phone calls. So they have certainly, stepped in and tried to be watchdogs on this. Whether or not their suggestions are being taken seriously is something we'll see next week when the president when the president is presented with his recommendations for reform from the NSA and the DOJ. That'll be kind of the next step in terms of actually changing
and
the
those
landscape.
Reforms, remind me, are coming from where?
So when the president spoke in January, he directed the NSA and the Department of Justice to kind of put forward proposals for reform. So this is definitely an internal process. It's very possible that we'll see nothing substantive just because, these people, this is what they do every day. They've justified these programs for months. They likely would like to keep them. But we'll see what the president is presented with and what he decides to do.
So Senator Feinstein was this very powerful speech that she gave on the floor of the Senate a couple of weeks ago now, where very outraged by the fact that she believes that the CIA was actually spying on members of her committee, hacking into their computers. What's going to come of that, if anything? I mean, is she, do we know, supportive of a new select committee, or does she think they're, is it just going to be one speech and then nothing happened?
It's interesting that she kind of got so vocal when the surveillance was targeting her, because she is a staunch defender of the NSA. And
you used the phrase cheerleader before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she cheerleads the NSA and cites the necessary programs that they have and the effectiveness they've had, all of which, can be debated and is debated. But she focused very specifically on the CIA. This wasn't an attack on broader surveillance. This wasn't an attack on broader government surveillance. This was just, she didn't like her staffers having their computers searched without them knowing.
Yeah.
Which is a fair concern for any member of Congress to have in terms of, separation of powers. But I would be surprised if she kind of turns around and suddenly becomes this, opponent of these big surveillance programs. And I, as far as I know, she hasn't voiced any thoughts on whether or not we need a new church committee, quote unquote. But she's in charge of what the old church committee became. So that would seem like almost no, we're not doing our job. We need you guys to step in and do it for us. I'd be surprised if that was something that she vocally supported.
New York Times reporting this morning, I was just checking, because Senator Feinstein said the CIA, they broke the law when they hacked these computers. The CIA is saying the Senate staffers broke the law when they took information they were not supposed to have taken. And so the Justice, both have asked the Justice Department to jump into this, and the Justice Department is pretty reluctant to do so, to get caught in the crossfire, if you will, between CIA and the Senate Intelligence Committee. I really think that, and let's get your comments at 866-55-PRESS. The big question is, Senator Rand Paul, did he strike an important chord yesterday at the University of California, Berkeley, where he said the intelligence agencies today so out of control that we need a new select committee like the church committee back in the 70s to watch the watchers. Kate Tummarello with us from the Hill. Your call's welcome at 866-55-77-377.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help, because we wouldn't be here without you. It's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start At the end of every show, the first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those of you able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
12 minutes before the top of the hour on the NSA and on CIA. Kate Tummarello here from The Hill, tech reporter for The Hill, in studio with us. Chris Moody from Yahoo News joining us as a friend of Bill for the next hour. Kate, what I find curious is, what is it going to take, to finally get people upset enough that they're going to demand action? On this whole, I believe it's very clear that the intelligence agencies are out of control and that we've lost our right of privacy, unless maybe there's a little bit of it left. If we haven't lost already, we're about to lose it. I mean, this latest thing of it's taking all the phone calls from one particular country. I thought maybe that's it. Spying on members of Congress. You would think that would be enough to get enough senators to say, hey, we got to do something about this. But for now, most of the leadership in Congress and the President of the United States are supportive of or at least afraid to take on the intelligence agencies. What is the mood among the American people about this? Do people give a damn?
It seems like people definitely do give a damn. The members who are pushing for reform like to talk about how in past recesses, they would go back to their districts and this would be one of the first questions they heard. What's going on and what are you doing to fix it? Because this is definitely problematic, is a view I think many constituents have expressed to members of Congress. And it's tough because, this is all happening in the sphere of this, like you said before, war on terror, where, no one wants to be the agency that dropped the ball before the big terrorist attack that could have been prevented. But we're far enough out that I'm not sure that fear is as pervasive as it used to be in terms of the American people. And I think more than just not wanting to have their privacy intruded on. A lot of people are concerned that these conversations, these programs, this was all developed in secret, more or less. This isn't something that we knew was happening until, former NSA contractor Edward Snowden took a bunch of documents and gave them to the press. So the question is maybe more about the process by which these programs come to be, not so much the actual programs. I think there's a lot of concern about the sweeping programs, and that's kind of what most of the attention is focused on. But, I don't think anyone's advocating for the end of surveillance. It's just a question of where is the line, and how can we decide where the line is if this all happens behind closed doors?
Well, what I hear so often, and whenever we open up the phones on this topic, even with this show, by and large, a very liberal, progressive audience. If there are conservatives listening, they tuned in by mistake. Is the response, even from liberals and progressives, is, well, we just have to give up a little of our privacy now, because in this war on terror, and or so resign to that, or they're already doing it anyhow, so I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't care if they listen to my phone calls, right? Which is an invitation to losing more and more of your privacy. So it's just I don't see the concern and the passion that I would expect from the American people on this. Yeah, cameras everywhere. They just figure it goes with people bugging your phone everywhere. So with that, it's going to be hard, I think, to build the kind of groundswell of demand for change that's necessary to get something done.
And that doesn't even take into account, the future technologies. What happens when we're all wearing Google Glass? And that can be, stored by the NSA, and you can see everything I'm seeing, and keep track of my heart rate or my blood pressure or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the line is. I think there's definitely, since the first Snowden leak in June, there's definitely been more momentum and more conversation than there's ever been. In the time I've been covering this stuff. So it seems like there was kind of a critical moment, and President Obama came out and said, we're going to take a stab at this. We're going to see what we can do to reform these programs. And we've all just been kind of waiting for him since then. So, like I said, once he unveils, or once we see what's on the table next week, maybe that momentum will come back, but it's hard to tell now.
I was talking to a fellow reporter at the White House the other day who's surprised me. He turned to me and he said, so you think Edward Snowden's a whistleblower and not a traitor? I mean, yeah. But I'm not sure what the American people think about Edward Snowden.
Well, even Rand Paul last night kind of hedged on the Edward Snowden question. He was asked something about if other people wanted to come forward, is this the right way to do it? And he said he wasn't sure. This isn't. He didn't seem to throw his full support behind Snowden.
Yeah, and the truth of it is, I believe we would not be having this conversation today. And there wouldn't be such an issue at all in the Senate or around the country today if it were not for Edward Snowden. So I think he performed a great public service. Hey, Kate, you're in a very interesting area. This is, I'm sure. Good work covering this, and thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Kate Tummarello at The Hill, thehill.com. We'll be back. Chris Moody at the top of the next hour is a friend of Bill.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Hey, friends, you think the first 2 hours were great today? Aha, you ain't seen nothing yet, as Ronald Reagan used to say. Big hour number 3 coming up. Chris Moody from Yahoo News, one of our favorite guests, is going to be here in studio for the entire hour as a friend of Bill. We'll be joined by Katie Glueck from Politico, who covers the Capitol here for Politico. Lots of good stuff coming up with all the news of the day for hour number 3. You can stay with us, unfortunately not on Free Speech TV, but on our video stream at youtube.com/TawkrTV.
This is the Bill Press Show.
President Obama on the road today in Orlando and Miami. Going up first to Orlando, where he is speaking at Valencia College with some students and local community leaders there, talking about the economy again, particularly opportunities for women. And then he goes down from Orlando to Miami. Two fundraisers tonight. He'll be speaking in Miami, first at a DNC event, and then secondly at a DCCC event, both in private homes in Miami. Back to the White House about midnight tonight is when he gets back, 11:20, the South Lawn of the White House. And no briefing today because Jay Carney will be meeting with reporters on Air Force One. Chris Moody in the next hour is a friend of Bill.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Piston fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governors can come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption. They lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts, and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got. A lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to, not eligible for Social Security. So the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing,
because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance right through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself blood pressure or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor is allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100. And I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for.
I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here, we've been here for 26 years, we're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough, they adapt, but only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not gonna let Detroit be erased, bulldozed to where we're gonna fight to the bitter end. Detroit gonna survive.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
broadcasting around the nation on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Debris found in the South Indian Ocean. Could it be from the missing flight, Malaysian 370? Experts say probably. Hey, good morning, everybody. Maybe we'll know what happened after all. It is Thursday, March 20. So good to see you today. This is the Bill Press Show. We are here in our nation's capital, in our studio on Capitol Hill, keeping our eye on what's going on here in the nation's capital, around the country, around the globe, bringing you all the news of the day, and most importantly, giving you a chance to tell us what it all means to you, if anything, if you care about it, and what it means to you and your family, your community. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Join the conversation here this hour with Chris Moody from Yahoo News, here as a friend of Bill, covers politics and everything else for Yahoo News. Hello, Chris. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Bill. It's great to be here again.
What amazing, disgusting brew do you have in your coffee?
Well,
this morning. Last time was this mix of
raw beet juice was last time.
Yeah, raw beet juice.
Today I brought these beans that you pour water over, and it's called coffee.
No, so
I'm drinking coffee
what
this morning.
happened? You went straight on us here. What's going on?
I didn't have time to wash and juice the vegetables this morning. I'm sorry to let you down. I thought of you. I worried about this, tossed and turned all night, and I just woke up and had coffee.
We were looking forward to some disgusting
I knew
brew
Chris was
this
coming
morning.
in, so I brought in my own juice.
Oh,
that's
your breakfast juice? Yes, great. Did you have to... do you
want some?
Sure.
It's good. It'll wake you right up.
It's delicious.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you have to squeeze those potatoes to get that vodka?
Yeah,
right.
It's got some kick to it.
That's just rye whiskey.
That's really interesting apple juice.
Yeah, it's apple
I
juice.
admire anybody with a flask.
That's right.
That brings his own flask, right? That's good. See what you started here?
I know. Right? Well, he drank my raw beet juice last time,
That's
so
right.
now I have to drink his apple
pass
juice.
it around, sure.
His apple juice, yeah. Exactly.
You wonder what's in this coffee cup.
This is the aforementioned Peter Ogburn. Elisa Murphy here as well. Alicia Cruz
Good
on the
morning.
phones, and Cyprian Bolding on the video cam as well. There was an interesting session, Chris, yesterday of People's Court, where the man came outside of People's Court and was talking to a reporter about what happened to him and who was against him. Peter found this clip, so we just have to play it for Peter's amusement here.
It's good to see you alive. Yes. I don't know. Maybe this guy was on something. Maybe D hit him. Who knows?
D hit him.
He was calling you the suspect in the court. You see? I don't know. Like I said, D hit him, so it wasn't me. Maybe. What's D? D's nuts. This guy's crazy. D's what? Huh? D's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know any of the context for what just happened.
I know.
But that was funny.
It was.
D hit him.
I hate it when D hits me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
What happens
D
in
hit
People's
him.
Court, right? Watch out. So Chris Moody here, our entire hour is a friend of Bill. We got lots to talk about, including his wild partying with CPAC. Yes, that is not a contradiction in terms. Sounds like it, though. Wow. That's as big a contradiction as Rand Paul at the University of California, Berkeley. We'll talk about that, too. And then Katie Glueck from Politico will join us at the half hour. But first, Peter with the big stories of the day. Go for it.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Star Wars begins shooting in May, just about a month away. It's going to take place in London. The new Star Wars sequel going to be held by J.J. Abrams. The setting for the movie is it's going to take place 30 years after the final original Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, and most of the filming is going to take place in London. But it's going to start in May. No major cast announcements have been made yet, but we do know that J.J. Abrams is going to be directing it. So we're getting more and more information as we get a little bit closer.
I'm telling you, the anticipation building up for this.
I know.
Huge, right?
They better not mess it up.
I know.
They could.
It's not spring yet, but it will be in about 4.5 hours. 12:57 p.m. this afternoon will officially kick off the vernal equinox. Spring will have sprung. On that note, today here in Washington,
Will somebody
D.C.,
tell the weatherman?
Right? Considering it's a chance that we're going to get snow on Tuesday of next week.
Bill and I will be long gone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Respective vacations.
I'm not hanging around for a
No way. No,
snowstorm.
thank you.
You guys haven't figured out.
Enjoy yourself.
Today is also the first day of the Cherry Blossom Festival here in Washington, D.C., with snow still on the ground.
And no cherry blossoms in the trees.
And no cherry blossoms. So they have a level of where they are in peak bloom or about to bloom. They are now in green, meaning there are no blooms anywhere. So if you decided to get here for the start of the Cherry Blossom Festival, you will be disappointed.
Yeah. They do say they're thinking it's going to be April 8th. You'll actually see some flowers.
I tell you, if we
for those wanting to travel to
which
D.C.
is the end of the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Right. It's very late this year.
Yeah.
And it is official. It's been rumored for a long time. In more movie news, Ghostbusters 3 is a go. Dan Aykroyd tweeting last night, "PAC's on. We will have Ivan's back as I help him produce a Ghostbuster 3 that Harold would be proud of." Harold being Harold Ramis, who passed away just a few weeks ago. Dan Aykroyd is in. No word if Bill Murray is back in. But Ghostbusters 3 is moving ahead.
This is way better than Star Wars.
Yeah,
I mean, it's way more exciting than Star Wars.
I love
Sorry
the
for all the
Ghostbusters
viewers out there.
movies. They're great. They're great.
I thought the first one was great.
Yeah, the second one was shaky, but the first was phenomenal.
There you go. Have you ever done a sequel to Airplane?
Yeah, there was Airplane 2.
Yeah,
is there an Airplane 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
I mean, it wasn't
missed
as funny, but... Yeah.
How could it be?
Right. Yeah.
How could it be? It's funny.
Right.
You know, that's what I ought to download for my flight to Hawaii.
Airplane.
Or Caddyshack as well.
Or Caddyshack.
I was just thinking the sequel to Caddyshack was also not nearly as funny as the original Caddyshack, but you should get one of those, yeah.
All right. I'm making plans here.
So you got
Chris
Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
you've got
Breaking Bad.
Are you starting from the beginning on Breaking Bad, or are you?
Yeah, from the beginning.
Enjoy your flight.
Yeah,
might be a little nerve-wracking up there.
It might indeed. All right, Chris, what have you been up to? You've been hanging out with.
I've been causing trouble.
I know. You've been hanging out with pot lobbyists for one, and you've been hanging out with wild right-wingers at CPAC. Let's start with CPAC. I mean, do they really have fun?
Look, despite the stereotypes, right-wingers can rage. These guys have a lot of fun after dark. So at CPAC, of course, there's all these speeches, all the presidential wannabes, and reporters
all the
come
crazies.
in. All the
Michelle Bachmann.
Use your own words, sure. You know, reporters come in, they write down what they say, and then they go home. I don't know why they go home, because CPAC really begins after dark. There is a huge lineup of massive parties across the entire city, and I went to far too many of them to want to live a long life during the event. And I came away...
Not just at the hotel there, but...
At the hotel, there's the suite parties up in, the private ones where there's hotel spa parties with Steve Stockman.
I was going to ask about that one.
Yeah, so the one that I really loved the most was the college Republicans bought about a 4.5-foot elephant wearing a top hat made of ice, solid ice. And through his trunk, you could pour liquor, and the college Republicans would get on their knees in their suits and ties and put their lips around the trunk of the elephant and slurp down the liquor as another college Republican poured it above them. And it was great fun.
Do you get pictures of this?
I do have pictures of it.
Did you put them
They're
out
on
there?
Yahoo News. You can see the ice elephant, which his name was Nixon. So you can imagine college Republicans, one after the other, getting on their knees to mouth Nixon. This is stuff you don't have to make up. There was a reporter in the 90s who pretended to go to CPAC parties and made up a bunch of stories. Well, I wanted to write the real ones. And we had great fun. Now, there was a party right after that where they had beer towers, like 4-foot-high beer towers with drudge sirens on the top. People are hitting the beer towers. There was a party at Breitbart where they had a 16-piece band, a cigar roller, and cigarette girls walking around. Like I said, CPACers, right-wingers have a great time. Now, the fun part about the story, I wrote everything up as I saw it, is that on the left...
Do they have sex?
Oh, they do. There's this great story of Eric Erickson being...
whoa.
Hold on. Let me finish the story.
Give me a second to get ready for this.
Great story.
Do right-wingers have sex, really?
Oh, there's a lot of sexual adventurism at CPAC, absolutely. This is where a lot of people lose their virginity at CPAC. It's like a rite of passage for a college Republican. I'm not making this up.
Can you imagine?
Oh, this is so sick.
So Eric Erickson, he's the head of RedState.com. He's at the CVS near the CPAC
hotel.
hotel.
CNN.
Yes,
I outed him at a White House briefing, but anyway. Go ahead.
Well, he's at the CVS and is aghast to find a long line of college Republican men just ripping the condoms off the shelves of CVS and all in line, all with their CPAC badges. And he was not very pleased by what he saw. So I would assume that those prophylactics got used, or at least were attempted.
Well, I would hope so. But I mean, and so he was what the moral police. He was head of the moral police.
He thought it was a bad example to be buying condoms in public. Outside of with your CPAC badge.
You know, once you start talking about sex, take and Eric bracing myself for the worst.
Right.
But you know, people on the left loved the story because it made them look crazy, but people on the right loved this story because it made them look cool. And they do have a lot of fun. And the thing about partying with Republicans, there's no guilt. They just do it, and they have no problem having a great time. It was a lot of fun. And, you know, the reporting out that story probably took off a few years of my life, but I think it was worth it.
But I want everyone to understand that you did this all in the line of duty.
All in the line of duty. I sacrificed journalism for my nation and for my outlet.
Yeah, journalism at its best.
That's right. Yeah.
We go where the story leads. It doesn't, you know, right?
That's right.
Doesn't matter where it is.
There was another great moment where Sharon Day, she's the co-chair of the Republican National Committee.
I'm still on the Republicans on their knees mouthing Nixon, so to speak. Yes?
Now, as an intrepid reporter, I had to make sure it worked, so I gave Nixon a try too.
Oh no!
I mean, this is called YOLO journalism, where you make sure it's all really true. You got to get your hands dirty a little bit. But I'll never forget Sharon Day. She's a grandmother, I think, of 5, and she's the co-chair of the Republican National Committee, goes into this packed suite full of drunken college Republicans, and she pops open a Coors Light and downs it as everyone shouts, "Sharon, Sharon." I mean, we're talking a grandmother. This is all true story. Wow. And then she left right about the time some group of them started shouting. Well, it was a college party, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but there was a couple bros in the back that started shouting "F Obama," and she's like, "Okay, I gotta leave.
Time to go."
Yeah. So, but she rages.
All right. So who had more fun, the pot lobbyist or the CPAC Republican?
So that was one weekend.
Yeah.
A couple of days later, I went to Capitol Hill and hung out with a group of marijuana activists and lobbyists that are getting their act together on Capitol Hill. Legal marijuana in 20 states plus the District of Columbia. In 2 states, you can do it recreational.
Medical.
Legal in 20, medical.
Right.
But in 2 states, you can do it recreational.
Right.
This is a $2 billion business so far, and certainly much, much more. And they need to get their act together. So they are lobbying Congress. The National Cannabis Industry Association has hired a full-time lobbyist on Capitol Hill, and last week they met with more than 60 members of Congress in their offices, and are really doing a solid
So
push.
are they looking for federal legislation?
They need federal legislation right now on 2 fronts. They're not necessarily asking for immediate legalization, although they'd want that. But what they want is right now, if you're in the marijuana business, acting legally in your state, you cannot write off your business expenses, which is crazy. But you know who can is brothels in Nevada. They can write them off, but marijuana folks can't, which is crushing these small business owners. The second thing is that banks are really not comfortable lending to them or working with them because it's federally illegal.
Right.
So what they want is members of Congress to pass a law that's saying that banks can work with companies that are under state law, and also that they can write off their federal taxes. And there's a group of Republicans right now that are trying to push back against that, but there's also Republicans that are on their side. This is really a bipartisan issue. But I think the most interesting point is how organized they are. You can't tell them the difference between a pot lobbyist and a General Electric lobbyist. They look the same. They're putting on suits and ties, and they comb their hair. It's not they look totally normal people, and they are. They're small business owners, and they're lobbying just like anyone else. So I spent a day with them on Capitol Hill to see just how it's done, and it's done just like everyone else.
Well, but the big question is, now you admit that you had to partake of the goodies at the CPAC conference, so how much pot did you smoke with the pot lobbyists?
In this case, I smoked none because they were working, and that was not part of.
They were not stoned on the Hill.
Not that I could tell. I mean, maybe they were functioning.
In this case,
I noticed that. Right, in this case, yes, but so
no, they were focused on the task at hand. But I didn't drug test anyone.
It is funny, I think, with these pot lobbyists and like when we have Alan St. Pierre in from Normal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're guys who wear suits. They look like, businessmen or professors or whatever, and they're able to maintain. It's not the image of the slacker stoner is dying off pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. And I think as more people come out of the shadows, also, $2 billion is a lot of money to any politician, no matter who you are, left, right, center, up, down, right? And also, these are people in their districts, their constituents, that are possible donors, that are bringing in a lot of tax revenue, and it's hard to say no to that. And I think you'll see the tide changing on that issue very quickly over the next couple of years, kind of like same-sex marriage in the same way.
Stoner donor.
Stoner donor. I think the stoner donors is going to be my next piece. Thank you for the idea, Bill. I really appreciate it.
No, seriously, that's
when you get back from rehab after going to the party at CPAC.
This is the new PAC. The new PAC.
They do have a PAC, actually.
That's what they ought to call it.
They are getting organized.
Donors.
The stoner donors.
Chris Moody here.
We're having a great time.
Don't ask me what we're talking about, but we're having a good time. Yeah, indeed. And I want to ask you about Rand Paul at the University of. Talk about another, contradiction in terms. Yes, Rand Paul at the University of California, Berkeley. When we come back here with Chris Moody from Yahoo News, join the fun at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, 26 minutes after the hour, Katie Glueck joins us from Politico, and our next segment joins us, meaning me and Chris Moody from Yahoo News, as well as the rest of the team here. Unusual when you pick up the front page of the New York Times to see Rand Paul on the front page of the New York Times. Even more unusual when you realize he is giving a speech in that photograph at the University of California, Berkeley. What the hell is he doing
it's
in
a
Berkeley?
hotbed of conservatism up at Northern California.
Clearly, right.
So he's talking a lot about the NSA up at Berkeley, reaching out to liberal students in the same fashion, honestly, that his father did. His dad was notorious for doing these massive rallies and speeches at traditionally liberal schools, and he's picking up that mantle. And he's talking about things I think that they care about, the government spying, NSA stuff. I haven't been able to see the full transcript of the speech, but I don't think he was pounding the podium about conservative issues. There's some common ground with libertarians and the left, as we all know, and I think he's tapping into that.
Totally. He, just looking here for the one big line of his that I thought got the most applause from the students was, quote, "I believe what you do on a cell phone is none of their damn business." Talking about the CIA or NSA. Bingo, right? But you're right. His father won the CPAC endorsement, straw poll.
And so did he.
So did Rand Paul this year.
And they're just very organized at places like CPAC, so the base is still, his base is still fired up about him, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk to Katie Glueck more. She's covered Rand Paul's speech yesterday. You know, and if Chris, my feeling is if only Rand Paul would stick to talking about drones, you know, and the CIA, the NSA, and the right of privacy, I could vote for the guy.
But he's not a liberal. He's a libertarian.
He's a libertarian.
And a conservative in a lot of ways. So
this is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour, The Bill Press Show here Thursday morning, March 20. Coming to you live from our nation's capital and brought to you today by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, the good men and women of the Teamsters Union under President Jim Hoffa. We all live better because of their good work around the country in many areas. Visit their website and find out more at teamster.org. Chris Moody is in studio with us as a friend of Bill from Yahoo News this hour. And Chris, we are now joined by Katie Glueck at Politico. We just mentioned Senator Rand Paul, in a major speech at the University of California in Berkeley, of all places, yesterday. Katie Glueck covering that story for Politico. Hi, Katie. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Bill. How are you, Chris?
Good morning.
So I know Berkeley pretty well. I was actually enrolled there at one time. I marched in the People's Park March. I've been a part of many protests at the University of California, Berkeley. What the hell was Rand Paul doing in Berkeley?
That's what a lot of people were wondering. While he's perhaps a more likely ideological fit there than perhaps some others in his party, certainly raised some eyebrows to have a Republican going to, as you noted, of all places, Berkeley. But, it actually went over pretty well.
And he was there. You mentioned Republican, but he was really wearing his libertarian hat, I guess, right? I mean, the subject of the speech was the NSA versus your privacy, I think was the title of it, right?
Exactly. While we often talk about him as a possible Republican 2016 contender, yesterday he was very much in libertarian mode, which is, of course, a part of his broader strategy for the Republican Party at large, and perhaps for himself as well, in terms of wanting to reach out to young voters. He sees young people as one demographic that could possibly be persuaded to come over in larger numbers to the Republican Party, and he sees privacy as one way of reaching out to them. And so, he is, of course, a longtime champion of civil liberties in his own right. And so that was by far kind of the biggest focus of this speech.
Katie, Chris Moody from Yahoo News here. Did he talk about anything else other than the NSA spying and privacy? Did he get into any other policy areas? Did any students ask him about anything else where he could talk about other possibly more conservative issues or ideas?
Sure. He got into a little bit of a discussion about taxes, about support perhaps for the flat tax. And, in Berkeley, he, very clearly said, I support lowering taxes for everyone, which was actually a line that, definitely traditionally conservative line, but it kind of went over better than I think some people might have been expecting. But the vast majority of the time that he spoke, he was talking about the NSA, he was talking about the CIA. He took a couple of swings at President Obama and at other lawmakers who, are perhaps more supportive of some of these data collecting tactics, as some people put it. He was actually also asked kind of in several ways about his personal thoughts on 2016 and, his views of the rest of his party. So a little discussion of politics as well.
It's a little unfair here, I think. I agree with what he said about the NSA and about a need for a new select committee, which we'll get to in just a minute. But to go on a college campus and nobody asked him about abortion, nobody asked him about gay rights, nobody asked him about the fact that he said he would not have voted for the Civil Rights Bill. You could go down the line. That could easily have turned into a session where he didn't appear so popular on that campus. But apparently, it looked like this whole thing was rigged, Katie, so that all the questions would be about, for the most part, by far, would be about the spying issues and none at all on the social issues.
How did they handle the questions, Katie? Was it people reading cards or people at a microphone?
Sure. I don't know the extent to which I can speak to sort of the details of how questions were selected, but what I can tell you is after he gave his speech, he was up on stage with, actually, I believe it was a freshman moderator who asked him some questions, from his perspective, and then also they'd been soliciting cards from the audience, and so they read a couple of questions that came their way, via, I guess, note cards that were submitted. But you're absolutely right, Bill. This could have gone a very different way because as much as sort of that libertarian message on privacy does resonate with a certain segment of younger voters, especially at a place like Berkeley. You're right. There are some other issues where perhaps he would have been less in line.
A lot of other issues. Now, one thing he did say that he intends to try to do when he gets back to Washington. We have a little clip here of the senator saying he wants to kind of put some action behind his words, Senator Paul, yesterday in Berkeley.
No one should be allowed to invade your privacy. That's why I'm announcing today that when I return to Washington, I will push for a select committee, styled after the church committee that investigated the abuses of power by the intelligence community in the 70s. It should be bipartisan, it should be independent and wide-reaching. It should have full power to investigate and reform those who spy on us in the name of protecting us. It should watch the watchers.
We need a new select committee to watch the watchers. Katie, what's the likelihood that we're going to see that happen?
I think it'll be interesting to see what details emerge or sort of, beyond that line he had in his speech yesterday about what kind of he has in mind for what that might look like. It was interesting because that line did come in the context of him talking a little bit more broadly about allegations from Senator Feinstein, of course, of California, a Democrat, last week concerning whether the CIA was perhaps looking unauthorized into computers used by Senate staffers on her committee. And so it was sort of in the context of that he was saying, this is something where we should all find common ground within the Senate and look a little more closely. So it will be interesting to kind of see how that pans out.
And Katie, when he talked about 2016 or was asked about it, do you have any read on the response, or did people seem excited at all, or what did he say when he talked about that?
Yeah, people did seem excited. I mean, it was my understanding was that the room was filled with close to 400 people, and there was a lot of applause when he was asked about 2016. There was kind of a funny moment because the moderator was saying, we've all been watching you go to places where Republicans aren't typically expected to go, places like Howard University, and then he kind of interjected and said, "You mean like Berkeley?" And everyone started laughing, and but even in Berkeley, or perhaps especially in Berkeley, the suggestion that perhaps he would have 2016 ambitions did seem to go over well. He said maybe when he was kind of asked more directly about that. Which is in line with what he said on the question in the past. And then he did take that opportunity to talk a little bit more about how he envisions a new kind of Republican, as he put it, trying to reach out to younger people and where he would see such a candidate finding more common ground with young voters.
You know, it's interesting. He's really following in the mantle of his father, who used to just pack out university halls on schools on the left, schools on the right, and he would get thousands of kids to come out. I wonder if Rand Paul, under the possibility of 2016, if he's running for president, can Rand Paul pack out a 1,000-person meeting house on a university campus? I think that's going to be fascinating to see if he can really match the crowds of his father. We'll have to see.
If he stays on these messages, right? If he stays talking about these issues,
which his dad did, yeah,
I think he will. Yeah, but I want to go back to this select committee because it seems to me that for him to come in to say we need a new committee, oversight committee over the CIA, he's going to run head on into Dianne Feinstein, who says, "Wait a minute, we've already got a committee. It's the Select Committee on Intelligence, and I'm the chair." Right?
Which is a good point. You know, he, again, was sort of unveiling that idea in the context of saying, you know, he supported what Senator Feinstein was raising last week, and he said, you know, given all of that information, this is why I think we need a new select committee. So, you know, we'll see whether that has legs.
And he's a newcomer to the Senate, really. He's the junior senator, and Senator Feinstein has been there quite a long time. It's very difficult to go into that old institution and shake it up. Obviously, they have rhetorically, but whether or not they can really make some policy impact, I mean, that's going to be an uphill climb for a guy like Rand Paul.
Katie referred just a little obliquely to what he said about President Obama yesterday, but one of the strongest comments I thought that Rand Paul made was that he was surprised that President Obama is so supportive of the intelligence agencies, given that he is the first African-American president and given what J. Edgar Hoover did to Martin Luther King Jr. And made that connection, which might have been hardball, but
that is
a good
hardball.
Point.
Wow.
I think.
And it was another point that seemed to go over well. You know, Rand Paul has, especially in the last couple of weeks, been sort of reaching out more to people who were hopeful that President Obama was, as he was in the Senate, was going to be in the White House, really sort of a champion of civil liberties, and he's kind of trying to reach out to those who are perhaps a bit more disaffected by that record so far.
And by the way, just wrapping this up, Rand Paul's next speech to a group where you wouldn't expect, he is slated to address the next conference of the NAACP.
Where he'll probably make the same point.
He probably will make the same point, exactly. Hey, Katie, good to have you with us this morning. Thanks for joining the program.
Of course.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Katie Glueck at Politico, Politico.com. Back with Chris Moody. Your call's always welcome. Join the conversation. Have you ever been to any wild right-wing parties like Chris Moody has?
Let's hear about them. Let's hear your stories.
866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
All right, 11 minutes before the top of the hour, Thursday, March 20. Chris Moody covers politics for U.S. What am I saying? USA Today? No, for Yahoo News. Hello, Chris. I know who you are. I know where you were. Good morning. So you've been. I saw Reince Priebus, which, as Seth Meyers said the other night, sounds like a disease that should be covered by Obamacare. He was on the news crowing about the fact that Republicans are pretty sure to take back the U.S. Senate this year.
You are understating it. He called it a tsunami in 2014. It was some rhetoric that you don't some confident rhetoric about 2014 that you don't often hear. A lot of times you hear people say, we're feeling pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. Or something kind of understated. Tsunami. Mm-hmm. And so they're feeling pretty good about this
based
upcoming
on
election.
What?
So a year ago, Republicans commissioned this report called the Growth and Opportunity Project.
You mean the autopsy?
The autopsy of the dead Republican Party, of course. And it's been 1 year this week since that came out. And it recommended that they do quite a bit of things, and that's getting permanent presence for the GOP and minority communities. It's beefing up their data and their digital operations.
Reaching out to women.
Doing all these things. So this week we had dueling press conferences from Reince Priebus, the chairman of the RNC, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chairwoman of the DNC. And long story short, of course, Republicans said everything's great, and the Democrats said no, it's not. And we can get into that a little bit more, of course.
Well, exactly what have they done?
They actually have done a lot.
They had Mike Huckabee at their last meeting, right, say that, the women of America all just depend on Uncle Sugar right?
Well,
Dependent
okay,
on
so
Uncle Sugar.
here's the difference between what the Republicans were talking about and the Democrats.
Yeah.
Republicans were talking about behind the curtain, all the background stuff they're doing on the ground operation, putting hundreds of staff members around the country, beefing up their digital and data. They didn't talk about the rhetoric or the policy much. The Democrats, on the other hand, did. Pointed to statements like Mr. Huckabee, pointed to other statements about women, about minorities from Republicans, and also the fact that they haven't done anything on immigration as of yet. One of the recommendations in that proposal was we got to do something on immigration or we are screwed with the Hispanic vote, which with Obama, I believe he won 60% or something like that, or maybe 70, excuse me, 70.
I believe, yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And Republicans see a problem, but they haven't done anything in front of the curtain about it. So while Republicans are talking about back-end stuff, Democrats say, well, show us what's on stage.
Republicans also believe that their key to taking back the United States Senate is, in 2014, is Obamacare.
That's what they're hanging their hat on for 2014, which may be true in a lot of states that voted for Romney, that have Democratic senators who are up for election. But Obamacare's not going to last forever as a gift that keeps on giving for Republicans. At some point, it's not going to be as such a heated issue for them. I can't imagine it'll stretch to 18, 20, 22, all these next election cycles, right? So they're going to have to make some serious changes and find something else. You remember in Mad Men when they're all on Lucky Strike and Lucky Strike account leaves and they're scrambling? This Obamacare could be the Republicans' Lucky Strike here.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to find something else even in 2014 because by the end of this month, another week, they're going to show 5.5 million people probably already signed up for Obamacare, right?
Well, we'll have to see if they've paid and that it's gone through.
Correct.
Right now, it doesn't look very good.
The more people that sign up, the more certain it is that Obamacare is not going away. And for Republicans to keep talking about repealing,
that's for the past. And I think any reasonable Republican will say that, and they are. But I think it still is going to resonate as an issue this election cycle. But you know what? 9 months is a long time in politics and childbirth. So, lots could happen. It could turn around. But Republicans, if they're talking about tsunami elections, they don't say that lightly because they know that they'll look really stupid if there's no wave.
We want to thank you again, Chris Moody, for making the public sacrifice, the great sacrifice of partying so hard with the CPACers. Okay, and particularly for coming in and telling us about it this morning.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, Chris Moody from Yahoo News, and I'll be back with today's parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, last week Democrats lost a tough special election in Florida for the congressional seat held by Republican Bill Young. Alex Sink lost to David Jolly, and right away both sides went into overdrive about what it all means. Democrats, of course, insisted it meant nothing, while Republicans insisted it meant everything, and the Democrats are going to have to change their entire message for 2014 because Alex Sink supported Obamacare and she lost. Look, once again, I think both sides are wrong. In the end, this contest was just another special election, and that's the problem for Democrats. They don't do well in special elections because too many Democrats stay home. 50,000 fewer Democrats voted in this special election last week than voted in 2012 in that same district. That's why Alex Sink lost, period. But that loss ought to be a wake-up call for Democrats. It's all about turnout, turnout, turnout. Have a great day, folks. See you back here again
tomorrow
tomorrow
Bill
morning.
Press Show.
Do that.